Hey everyone, Angelo here, homeless filmmaker in LA. Been living in my car for 14 months, I think. I'm still dealing with my depersonalization symptoms. I know it's all dark, I'm in shadow. It's actually not as dark as it looks, but I'll try and brighten it. Just felt like I'm making a video at the end of the day. I go through, it seems like roughly a week to 2 week bouts within my latest bout of depersonalization-derealization. Look it up if you don't know it. It's a terrifying disorder. It can't physically hurt me. I used to think maybe I had brain damage from it. I mean, it was so horrific, the 9 months I went through that were just excruciating and disabling. But no, it doesn't give you brain damage either. So I'm like, okay. That's kind of shocking. I'm like, how do you not get brain damage after that long? But anyways, the last bout I've had, I got this anxiety attack day before Thanksgiving. So about 6 weeks ago. And someone's horn is like stuck on. But I at first was really bad. I'm curious to look through some of my earlier videos, see what I acted like and sounded like, and what I was able to talk about. Symptoms are really bad. You can you should go through for research. People should be informed about this. Go through my other videos, see what my symptoms were and are. They can be horrifying. They're not as horrific this time as the previous 3 bouts I've had. One about 15 months or 14 months, another a year, another 9 months. And they involve like racing, intrusive thoughts that almost feel like delusions. I try not to call them delusions, even though they feel like delusions, because what I've learned is they're not delusions because I am aware that they're intrusive and they're troublesome. If you have an actual delusion, you think it's real, like it's subconscious, you believe it. So it's not a psychotic disorder, as much as I have always been scared that, one day Angelo's gonna snap or break and then I'll be just totally dissociated and gone, and finally I'll have no desires, no nothing, I'll just be like lose my free will. That's never happened. I don't mean snap as in do something bad. I mean as in finally escape all sensation from my body. Never happens, even though I'm constantly convinced it will. And I've gone through a pretty horrifying bout where it was so horrifyingly scary. It makes me angry how bad it is and how senseless it is that my mind goes through it. But whatever. I feel emotions so intensely, it's like it's too overwhelming for me, and then I get dissociated. Depersonalized, meaning I feel disconnected from my body. Derealized, where I feel the world isn't real. And then on top of that, I get all kinds of other things like problems sleeping, these racing intrusive thoughts about God that are horrific, and Christianity and religion like trying to destroy me, and other stuff too that's just horrifying, and it makes it like my emotions are just like trapped in amber and fossilized, like I can't move them. They're there, I want to work them and wiggle them free, but I can't. And I was just thinking tonight, man, I'm tired of these symptoms. I can't complain too much because, for one thing, complaining, it really makes it worse. It's like, however much I'm able to actually do things to help myself recover, complaining doesn't help that. And fortunately, I am able to do things. I mean, my goodness, thank goodness. It's not like last time where I was disabled for 9 months, where I couldn't really do anything except just survive and try and not eat too horribly and just wait for this thing to course through me. I couldn't function. I couldn't drive. I could barely swallow food. I could barely bring myself to take a shower because I was so terrified of being in the bathroom by myself. Everything was excruciating and terrifying, like knives in me. I couldn't form thoughts, really. Somebody called me once, a guy I knew for a while, I hadn't talked to him in a few months. I didn't even pick up the phone because I couldn't even bring myself to speak. It was so bad, so painful. I was pacing constantly, horrible. And somehow I recovered. And I 100% didn't expect to, even 2 weeks before I was recovered. When I say recovered, it still took me another like year and a half to sort of feel like myself. But by the time when I say recovered, it's like, oh, I know I'm out of it. I'm finally able to start rebuilding my life. And it was sad and depressing rebuilding my life. But it was better than before. So, I got to look at it. That's the other thing. Why I say I can't complain. I also got to realize, okay, when these things happen, I have to look at it as an asset somehow. Something that will help me be better, be a better filmmaker. I have to have this foolish, vague trust that somehow I will recover. And just realizing, what can I do to help myself every day? I was like, well, I'm obsessed with these prison channels. That's good that I can still even watch stuff about prison and be interested in it. They talk about all these, guys who used to be in prison talk about how they would obsessively clean their cells because that's a huge thing. When you're living in a bathroom, because you're with a toilet right there next to a guy in a tiny cell, if your cell's not totally clean, like, it can cause a fight between you two. My nose is getting stuffed up. My allergies are... Why is everyone not having their allergies go bad? Well, my allergies have been acting up. I'm taking Claritin and Benadryl. And I'm applying for a lot of jobs because I can't afford a proper allergy mask. So they would clean their cells obsessively. I would see one guy say he would clean his cell 2 or 3 times a day and shampoo it, and even wash his clothes that he didn't wear. He had certain pairs of clothes he wouldn't even wear, but he was obsessed with washing them because he was institutionalized, like once a day, and then put cologne on like a Q-tip and put it in every crease of the clothes. So I'm like, well, if they could do that, what excuse do I have for my car ever looking dirty? I can't afford and don't want to spend the money on taking it to a car wash like every other day or every day. But a lot of dirt, there's a lot of pollution in LA. I wiped down my window today after I cleaned it thoroughly yesterday, and I got black, like soot or something, black stuff, like dust on the shop towel. So I'm like, well, one thing I can do to sort of feel normal is just clean my car. It doesn't have to be super thorough, but at least like every other day. Just kind of wipe down parts of it that I notice are dirty. Anything on the windows I notice needs wiping down, especially with all the condensation you see going on back there. That kind of makes it uglier. Oh, my nose. Just do things like that. But anyway, and even making this video, it helps me. I needed to talk. I haven't had many people to talk to today. I just farted. At my worst, sort of, a few weeks ago, I was talking to several people for hours a day to where I was sweating through my clothes, lying in my car until like 1 in the afternoon just talking to people. Now, I do want to get up earlier. I do want to do stuff, which is good. It's good that I have that impulse. And, but I've only really talked to my mom today. So I was like, I got to do something. I wanted to make this video. I walked around, so I exercised well this morning, which surprised me. Walked around the park after exercising. I went to Whole Foods, spent another $16 from my Whole Foods gift card. I only have $22 left on it. Maybe I can get 2 really small meals with it instead of just one big one, because I shouldn't eat just one big one. But it's like, what can I do for myself? I walked around the park till like my legs were getting kind of tired. I must have walked around this park like 5 times, probably a mile or 2, at least a mile. And it's good, getting a little cardio exercise, saving money on food, just eating stuff I got from the food bank. All I spent today, $1.50 on a large tea, mint tea. At this place, I'm not even going to Starbucks anymore, too expensive. That same tea would be like $2.55 at Starbucks. I'm tired of these symptoms. It's so scary. I cannot quite resume my normal life right now. I'm going through it as much as I can, which is good. man, I never want to live through that pain again that I went through in any of the previous bouts. Not just the last one, which was the third one. Definitely not the second one. That was hell. Hell on earth. That was horrific. And definitely not the first one. That was absolutely disturbing. So, I've got to accept it. That makes it easier. Slow down my mind when I'm panicking and recognizing the thoughts that are intrusive and understanding them for what they are. Like, oh, okay, I know I have this problem. I know I have this. I know I have all these problems from this dissociative disorder. Excuse me. And I got to keep moving. In general, first of all, it's good to do that anyways, but as long as I'm capable. There were a few days where I'm not sure if I forced myself to exercise, how that would have gone, because I was in, I'm using lotion on my hands right now. I was in, not just pain, but I was so dissociated. It was like a bad drug trip. I was scared out of my mind at the gym, like feeling almost like, you know how it's like your skull is made of several bones and they fuse at a certain point after your trial? I felt like it was like all these like plates, like tectonic plates or whatever, that instead of being fused together or like, connected with solid objects, they were just like melting away. It was so scary. Some days being at the gym. And I still remember that one day where I went there and I was showering and looked at my hands. I'm like, how are these my hands? Like, I didn't understand how they were mine. And seeing water go down the wall in the shower and be like, what is that water doing going down? It was freaking me out. Don't indoctrinate kids with Christianity, you bullshitters. They don't understand what it is, so you shouldn't really be pushing that on them. It's your own deficiencies, your own cowardliness in life that leads you to push that on people, if you're someone who does that. I know my audience certainly wouldn't do that. But yeah, it causes trauma. It's disturbing. It's full of horrifying things for kids to learn, and a lot of that's still embedded in me, and it's grafted onto this dissociative disorder. Where when things get overwhelming, it's sensory overload. I can't handle things, and that's what's been happening. That's always what I've been like in a way. And then as I was getting better a few days ago, I became dissociated again. It became too overwhelming. It was like sensory overload. It's like plugging in an appliance and just the electricity frying it. And I'm like, shit. But I know that every moment I spend being angry and miserable about it is like every moment it's like the world or the universe or something is angry and miserable about it and saying, okay, I'm mad, like nothing's going to get better. So I have to look at it as, okay, what can I do to get better? And that makes it so that, it's almost like just in my own mind, like I'm being presented with, okay, now finally it's like becoming clear, okay, it's almost like, not that I believe in anything, anything supernatural about it, but it's almost like the universe or the world, not that it comes from anywhere, not that it's anything physical, just like emanating from somewhere, just like, okay, it's like you're turning your mind onto the idea of, as if life is saying, yeah, what can we do to get better? Or how can we get better? It's not as simple as that in a way, and in a way it is. And even saying it dissociates me. The fucked up thing about this disorder, simple things dissociate me. But I gotta trust it's all like somehow, it's interesting. It's all somehow on my way to recovering. It's a winding road. I don't know where it always goes because I can't see in front of me where it's headed. And it's interesting, this disorder makes it apparent just how little free will may be a real thing, like as if we have free will. It's like, well, how do you know you have free will? You're only judging by your own mind. What if you have no choice but to believe you have it and you don't? You don't know. So, whether we do or not, That person's brake light is out. Reverse light is out. Whether we do or not, it's like we assume so much about what we are and what we do is our own choices. And you realize, like, if your mind's capable of, think about it, if my mind's capable of doing this stuff to me, where it does feel like I have no free will, first of all, does that mean I have any less free will than before? And does that mean, okay, that therefore free will, I forget where I was going with that last part, but meaning I'm saying, okay, it's almost like I have less free will now, but maybe I didn't have it before either. And we have no way of proving it. We have no outside reference to determine whether we have it or not. And I've heard, people like neuroscientists or whatever have measured the brain, and they can detect, in like tiny increments of time before you are aware you want to do something, that your brain already signals to do it. So how much do you really know? And our brains aren't truth machines. We assume they are because we just take for granted what we see and hear and perceive is real. But what they do is model reality. We're seeing a model of everything that our brain creates, and hence we're prone and susceptible to optical illusions and hallucinations and oral illusions and tricks and con artists, confidence men, all that kind of stuff. Like, our brains see patterns sometimes where there are none, where they recognize anything that resembles two eyes, a nose, and a mouth as a face, when it really isn't there. And perceive things as like, oh, this is just how the world is. Why? It makes sense to me. It just feels right. So in other words, you're just putting your faith in yourself, that your brain's a truth machine, when you don't know that. And I've seen firsthand now, I can understand, but how much do I really, have any say in it, that my brain is capable of doing things that I don't understand, that it's not just a truth machine. It is fucking like arcing out electricity everywhere and like doing stuff, to short out my thoughts. All I mean by that is, I have the trippy racing thoughts, intrusive thoughts, freaky, the shutdown of my emotions, which are, it's like they're paralyzed. They're there. They've got this numbing agent that just won't let them move. So, I'm tired of it, but I know when I say I'm tired of these symptoms, it's almost like the world saying, well, I'm tired of it. So, so what? It's not that I believe that's anything. I'm just saying it has to do with your own perception. That's all it is. When I say the universe, I just really mean your own perception, your way of looking at yourself. So, as much as I want to say I'm tired of it, I also want to say, okay, I recognize somehow this will help me. And that it's not permanent. Man, it scares the living fuck out of me when I sometimes think, oh, I'm just going to live the rest of my life this sad shell of a person that can't process reality and can't really do what they want in life. It's literally, it feels like braces are wrapped around something, you think in my chest, so I can't feel things. You think about like leg braces, to aid people in walking whose legs, have trouble functioning. Or braces, I don't know, they make braces for your arms, but stuff like that, where it's like this mechanical thing that restricts motion to whatever, I don't know, the medical explanation. And it's like that, it feels like that in my chest, my emotions, like, oh no, hold on, the braces are on, you can't quite function, you can't quite engage all your emotions yet. And it goes in waves. Like I said, it's not steady, where sometimes I was feeling way better, and now I'm like, well, I don't feel great, but I'm also, I know it's not as intense, not as bad, not as fucking like a drug trip as like before, that was a bad trip. I know it's now like, when it comes back, it's almost like my mind is like just running through this program of like testing everything, like what's going to work to, make Angelo feel better or something. Like, should we revert back to this old process of numbing, everything and dissociating? And it's like just testing, just methodically testing until it just passes through it and realize, okay, we're done with this computation. We've like solved this one. The value comes back no. Let's keep moving. And so it goes back and forth to where I was really feeling quite a bit better in the last week, but I knew I wasn't myself yet, and now I still haven't lost that progress. That's what I'm trying to say. I haven't lost that progress. It's just that progress takes different forms, and now it's like this setback again where, and I did finally manage to cry some about my dad today. It's still, I don't feel like a real person right now. I feel like I'm hallucinating on like the holodeck of Star Trek or something. It's trippy. So I'm like, stuff isn't real. It's not hitting me. It's horrible though. It sounds like, oh, well, people take drugs for that experience. No, it's horrible. Because it's like I have to treat my emotions like I'm in rehab, and I have to slowly, work them as much as I'm able, and just, see what give my body has to let me feel things again, and engage my life and write my screenplays and do all that stuff, and just feel my dreams. I hate this bullshit. I shouldn't say that. I just got to be like, okay, I'm going to work with it. I'll do everything possible to recover. What that means, I don't fucking know, because in the past, all it meant was just time and pain. But at least this time I do have some say in that, okay, it scares the living fuck out of me when I'm around other people and trying to engage and work and stuff, and I see how dissociated I am. I'm like, holy motherfucking shit, this is scary. Because I'm like, I'm feeling it intensely, how dissociated I am. And how numb I am. But it's like, okay, I'll work as much as possible with this to try and stay healthy, try and exercise as much as possible. Man, I wore my legs out today just walking. I got a lot of weight to walk around with. And I worked my legs hard yesterday at the gym. I did leg day, or I worked my legs. I don't like calling it leg day. And talk to people, and try and whatever level I can engage with the things I like, keep doing them. At a certain point, it's too much. Sometimes I can't look at my phone. It's just fucking sensory overload. It is too much. I can't handle it. Sometimes all I can do is just, just struggling through the pain. Just dealing with the pain and saying, okay, I'm going to keep going, and the pain will just, like, my body will shake that pain out of me just like it did before. I mean, it like just something gives, and it's just like something that shakes out of me. So, I'm interested to see how I recover from this one.